Hello, everybody. My name is Brad Zimmerman. I am mostly known in the business as the creator and performer of the one-person show, My Son the Waiter, A Jewish Tragedy, which was on a national tour. So I'm taking this time to work on the sequel called My Rise to the Middle. What that means to me is that I no longer wait tables. I make a living in show business, and like the vast majority of people who do, I'm a relative unknown. Of course, my hope is that the middle is not my final stop, but as you get older, the window for that gets smaller. So in my case, I would say the window is closed, but it's not locked. At any rate, it is now 42 years since I moved to New York. I am now 66 years old, and to be honest, I wish I didn't know that. I mean, there are times I'll tell someone how old I am, they're shocked. They can't believe that I'm 66. And when I tell someone how old I am, that's the response I'm looking for. That's the ideal response. What bothers me is when I tell someone how old I am and they don't say anything. Even worse, I tell someone I'm 66. They say, I would have said 63. In that case, I'd prefer they not say anything. My first apartment in New York was on 9th Street and Avenue B. My mother was uncomfortable with me living in the neighborhood, so she flew up to New York and within hours had secured me a very small studio apartment on the Upper West Side. This was in 1981. I'm still there. When I first moved in, I thought of it as temporary until I make it. Now I think of it as temporary until I die. I have lived alone all those years, with one exception. My neighbor's cat gave birth and they asked me to take a kitten. Took it because it was adorable, and never having owned a pet is kind of a novelty. So I'd leave the apartment. The kitten would cry. I had no choice. I had to get him a playmate. All I can say is, in the 10 plus years that I lived with these cats, what they did for me more than anything else is reinforce just how much I love dogs. As for my mother, I am thrilled to announce that she is still very much alive. She's now 90 years old. When we celebrated her birthday, my brother said in his speech, my mother is more than just a mother. She's also a good friend. I feel exactly the same way. We have a great relationship. Love visiting my mother. Although, there are times when she will say something where I have to remind myself to breathe. For instance, a few years ago, we're in the car. I'm driving her to a doctor's appointment. Completely out of the blue. Brad, maybe you should go back to Penn State, write your thesis, so you have something to fall back on. I went there for grad school when I was 22. I quit after a year. I said, Mom, if you had said this when I was 30, it's understandable. But if you say it when I'm 62, at least wait until I pull over. By the way, my mother went to college at NYU with every intention of becoming an actress. In fact, she had the looks. Boy, was she beautiful. But her professor's assertion that she suffered from a lack of talent combined with my mother's lack of desire to prove him wrong led to a successful career as a decorator. Although a few years ago, she said to me, Brad, my friends think you got your talent from me. I said, that's great, Mom, but what's more important is that I didn't. My father went to Ohio State. He majored in business, not into culture at all. During my entire childhood, the only book that I can remember seeing on his nightstand was a biography of the basketball player Bob Cousy. In fact, when my father died, in his honor, I finished it. My family also included two brothers, both younger. We were not close at all when we were young. I remember when I was 6, We were taking a family portrait. That's when I met them. So this is the first of many videos I hope to post in an attempt, to be honest, to widen my fan base. My fan base right now is Boca Raton and my building. So I hope you tune in. I'm also on Twitter right now. I think I have enough people, followers to carry my casket. So until next time, I leave you with the joke. This young woman, Jewish woman, brings her fiance home to meet her parents. After dinner, the father and the future son-in-law, they're having a drink in the living room. And the father says, "What are your plans?" And the young man says, "I am a Torah scholar." Father says, "That's very admirable. How will you pay for the engagement ring?" The young man says, "I will study the Torah, and God will provide." Father says, "How will you pay for the children's education?" And the young man says, "Don't worry. God will provide." So the father gets up, he goes into the kitchen. His wife says, "How did it go?" He said, "Well, I have good news and bad news. The bad news, he has no job, no prospects. The good news, he thinks I'm God. I love you all. Stay well."